of Tantra, and Tantra gives instructions for different kind of worship. So, for example, if you have a temple with a deity, and you're doing different offerings to the deity, then you may use, you know, different mudra forms, and you know, to give the offering, or to, you know, to add, for example, when you ask the Lord to fall asleep, you use the, you know, the perfection mudra, you know, and there's many mudras. I don't even know all of them. I mean, there's just too much to know. Because that lifestyle or that process is not really suitable to our age. I don't know if I should get into the whole different processes for different ages thing. But just in a nutshell, processes like silent yogic meditation, elaborate temple worship, and opulent sacrifices and ceremonies and stuff like that aren't really appropriate to this age. They can't be done properly because we don't have the circumstances, we don't have the knowledge, the training, the background, the culture, the wealth, the situation. I mean, it requires a certain situation that doesn't exist now in this planet. So there might be a few people here and there that can perform those processes properly. But what's the meaning of a form of spiritual life that isn't available to everyone? If it's not universal, if it's not accessible to the majority of people, well, what's the value of it? You know, if it requires specific conditions that are so rare and so hard to achieve that, you know, 99% of the people are locked out of it, then, you know, we don't want to start another elitist cult. We want something that everybody can benefit from. Everybody can chant. And if you can't chant, you can hear. So, you know, even the hearing...
You're going to receive.
Yeah. If you can't give, then receive. That's all right, too, you know. That works. Even on an animal, it works. We've seen, like, in some of our communities where there are farms, you know, we'll involve the animals, the dogs and cats and cows and birds and everybody in this chanting process, and they all become very peaceful and very happy. And we've actually seen it. We had one dog named Hari Rama because when you petted him, he'd put his head between his legs and go. He was great. So, then, Dana, you had a question?
So I had a question about, well, what about then conscious co-creation, like conscious conception? If you're elevating procreation for a greater purpose,
well,
how does that work into just...
That's really cool. If you can do it.
It's not just a physical, you know, fulfilling a physical need.
Well, family life should be spiritual. It should be done for the purpose of elevating that soul, you know. In fact, there's a whole process of how to bring in a really first-class soul. It's called the Garbhadhan Samskara. Garbhadhan means giving the seed, right? So there's a whole process where you invite a Brahmana priest. First of all, astrologically, you have to find an auspicious time. And then you do certain meditations where you get in touch with this soul that you want to bring in, right? And then you make a ceremony. You invite all your friends. You have a big party. Feed everybody. Everybody's really happy, right? And at the appointed time, you know, the couple goes to the wedding house. And I mean, that's actually a Vedic wedding. Then the wedding is consummated at the particular astrological time. You know, so it requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of piety, but the good intentions behind it are the key.
If you're setting your intentions to do these things, is that setting it already into motion?
Oh, absolutely.
So that those things are just unfolding before you in the intention to co-create a conscious conception.
Yeah. How could you do it otherwise?
Right.
Well, it's fortunate in the Vedic culture. If you go to India, to the traditional villages and families, they still do a lot of these things just because of cultural reasons. You know, just like, you know, something borrowed, something blue. You know, why do we do it? Who knows? But it's a custom. So similarly, in Vedic culture, there are a lot of things, like we were talking last night about the food. In Vedic culture, the food is automatically a balanced diet, and you don't have to know why it's balanced or how it provides all the needs for the body, but just because of the culture, you automatically get that benefit. So a lot of that is there in the Vedic culture in the traditional way, but kids want to know especially why. Why do we do it this way? Why do we chant this mantra? Why do we do this ceremony at this time? Well,
It's good to know.
It's good to know, and we should know these things. So it's like people get fed up with religion because they ask why, and people say, there's no reason why, it's just the way it is. Well, that just means they don't understand, that's all. So we should always have an explanation or a source for that information. Why do we do it? Why do we have to make
Bring
an
more
intention?
meaning to the enactment.
Yeah. Meaning is the key to fulfilling life. Life without meaning is meaningless. Well, not the most profound thing we've had today. So let's see, was there a question on the chat? Did I miss? Let me check it out here. Does anybody have a question on the web? Did we fall from the spiritual world to material once, or is this repeating? Okay, that's a good question. We fell once, and now we're dealing with the consequences of that fall, which are many, many births in the material world for a long, long time until we finally get it together that, I don't want to be here anymore. So when we fall, actually the question of how we fall to the material world is kind of irrelevant, because here we are and now we need to get out. Yes, and once we get out, we don't fall back in. That's right, Peter. In fact, it's stated in Bhagavad Gita that once someone goes to the spiritual world, they don't come back. If they actually get enlightened, if they really get full, complete enlightenment, they don't want to come back. Why would you? I mean, if you had lived in the slums all your life, and then you got your life together and you were able to move to a nice place in the suburbs, would you ever want to go back? Why? If you get out of grade school and you graduate and you go to high school and college, would you ever want to go back to grade school? Why? What's the point? Similarly, when someone goes to the spiritual world, they've already learned all the lessons there are to learn in the material world. But why would they want to come back again? There's no reason for it. There's no gain. So, no, we won't come back from the spiritual world. So, okay, I would like to take a short break.
I have one more question.
Oh, one more question, Carol.
Is there
Kathy.
It's okay. Is there an optimal number of chants to do when you're doing your? Is it 108 for the beads, or?
There's 108 beads on the string.
Right, but is it 108, or should you do 216 or?
Yeah, you can do as many as you like.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you should do a similar number each day, and then gradually increase until you feel satisfied.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So the point is not that we, for example, you want to take up all your time with just chanting. The point is to reach a place where you feel cleansed, where you feel satisfied spiritually, right? And then you try to chant that much every day as a regular daily routine.
Okay.
And like I said, at some point you're going to say, okay, I'm ready for the big push. I want to really do it. I want to get there, right? And at that point, maybe you take a retreat, and then you chant all the time, until you make it, right? But that warm-up, that getting ready, that preparation of chanting as a daily routine for some time is really necessary. Nobody can just jump into chanting all the time. That's unrealistic. what'll happen is you'll chant all the time for 2 or 3 days, and then you'll get tired of it. So the development of the relationship with the holy name takes time. It can't be rushed. Just like any kind of a relationship. You know, you don't just jump into marriage or any, you know, a big commitment like that. You gradually get to know the other person, and you find by experiencing them that the more you're with them, the more you like them. So you want to be closer to them. So it's the same with the holy name. In the beginning you try a little bit, and then, okay, that went all right, I'll try some more. And gradually you increase more and more, and you find that the more you increase, the more you like it. So you just keep increasing it more and more. And then finally at one point you say, okay, I trust this relationship. This relationship is